Hello everybody, Venuchandra Mandala welcomes you all to my YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to know how to transform a sentence in active voice into a sentence in passive voice. Let us know what is called voice. Voice is the form of a verb showing what is denoted by the subject does something or has something done to the subject. Or in other words, you can say voice is the set of form of a verb showing relations of the subject to the action. We know very well that there are two types of voices. They are active voice and passive voice. Let us know some of the techniques and the rules of changing a sentence in active voice into a sentence in passive voice. Let us know the structure of the active voice sentences and the passive voice sentences with the help of the examples. Saroj likes cricket. In this sentence, Saroj is the subject, likes cricket is the predicate part, and the predicate begins with a main verb. We call it an action verb, and it is also a transitive verb, and cricket is the object. So the structure of the sentence is like this: subject plus V1 plus object. If you ask a question, who likes cricket? The answer to this question will be Saroj likes cricket. Therefore, in this sentence, Saroj is the subject and also the doer of the action, where likes expresses the action performed by the subject, here Saroj. When the subject is the doer of the action and the verb expresses the action performed by the subject, we call that sentence in active voice. Let us go through this example to know the construction of the passive voice. Cricket is liked by Saroj. In this sentence, cricket is the subject and the verb phrase is liked. Saroj is the object which is being introduced by the word by. And here, cricket, which is the subject of this sentence, doesn't do any action. It is not the doer of the action. It is the receiver of the action. And the verb here is liked expresses what is done to the subject cricket here. Therefore, this sentence is in passive voice and the verb here is the passive verb. But in this sentence, Saroj likes cricket, the verb is the active verb. So, in any sentence, if the verb is in active form, it will be called active voice, and when the verb is in passive form, it is called passive voice. Let us go through the third example to get more information about the structure of an active voice sentence. C is writing a letter. In this sentence, C is the subject, is writing is the verb group here, and a letter is the object. When we ask a question, who is writing a letter, the answer to this question will be C. C is the doer of the action in this sentence. And is writing, the verb group, expresses the action performed by the subject, here the doer C. And the doer of any action is called the agent. Here a letter is the object. The verb group is writing is in active form. Therefore, we call this sentence in active voice. Let us go through this example. A letter is written by her. In this sentence, a letter is the subject. Is written is the verb group which is in passive form, and her is the object introduced by the word by. Here in this sentence, a letter is not the doer of the action, it is the receiver of the action. So when the subject is the receiver of the action and the verbs are in passive form, that sentence will be called as a passive voice sentence. I think we are clear about the structure of an active voice and a passive voice sentence. Let us know how to transform a sentence from active voice to passive voice. My father built this house. In this sentence, the noun phrase my father is the subject. Built is the transitive verb here, which is in V2 form, that means in past form, and this house, which is also a noun phrase, is the object of this sentence. Here my father is the doer of the action and built is in active form. Therefore, this sentence is in active voice. When we are changing an active voice to passive voice, the first change that occurs is the object of the active voice. So the object of the active voice will take the place of subject in the passive voice. This sentence is in passive voice, and here this house is the subject. And the second change that occurs in the active voice sentence is the change of the verb. Here the verb is in V2 form. So the change of the verb occurs as the relevant helping verb plus V3. So the main verb in the active voice will change into B form of the verb plus V3 form of the main verb. So here built changed into was built, and at last the subject takes the place of object in the passive voice. Here my father changed into by my father. So by my father is the object here. So my father is introduced by either with, by or in according to the rules. Here this house is the receiver of the action, was built in passive form. So when the verb is in passive form and the subject is the receiver of the action, we call that sentence is in passive voice. Let us know how the pronouns used with subject and object of the active sentence changes into the pronoun in passive voice sentence. So all the pronouns in subjective case in active voice will changes into objective case in passive voice. I changes into me, we changes into us, you remains same, he changes into him, she changes into her, it changes into it, they changes into them, who changes into by whom. Similarly, the pronouns in objective case in active voice will change the pronouns in subjective case in passive voice sentence. So me changes into I here, us changes into we, you remains same, him changes into he, her changes into she, it remains same, them changes into they, by whom changes into who. So these are the changes of the pronoun when we are changing a sentence from active voice into a passive voice sentence. Let us know how the verbs in active voice sentence changes into a passive voice sentence. Always remember that all the verbs in active voice sentence will be in active form, whereas all the verbs in the passive voice sentence will be in passive form. So if there is only one verb in any sentence and that verb is in V1 form, it means in present form, we call that sentence as the simple present. So the V1 form of the verb in active voice will changes into B form of the verb in present tense. That means here V1 will changes into each or am or are plus V3. Here V3 is the past participle form of the verb. Remember, the each or am or are changes according to the singular or plural subject. So if the subject is I, then which am. If the subject is he or she or it means third person singular number, then we each. And if the subject is plural, then we use are. If the verb group in the active voice sentence is each or am or are plus V4 form, then it will changes into each or am or are plus being plus V3 form of the verb in passive voice. Remember, here V4 means V1 plus ing. Similarly, has or have plus V3 will be changes into has or have plus been plus V3. Similarly, if there is only one verb in any sentence and the sentence in V2, it means that the sentence in past indefinite, and the V2 in active voice will changes into was or were plus V3 in passive voice. Remember that each, that was or were are the past form of the verbs each, am, are. Similarly, was or were plus V4 changes into was or were plus being plus V3. Similarly, had plus V3 changes into had been plus V3. Shall or will plus V1 will changes into shall or will plus B plus V3. Shall or will plus have plus V3 will changes into shall or will plus have plus been plus V3. Let us know how the active voice sentence changes into passive voice sentence in different kinds of sentences. Here, first of all, we will discuss the assertive sentence. If you go through this example, we find all the sentences are in present indefinite or simple present. I play cricket. Here I the subject, play is the V1 form of the verb and cricket is the object. This sentence is in active voice as we have already discussed. And let us see how this sentence changes into passive voice. As we discussed, the first change that occurred in the active voice sentence will be the object. So the object will changes into the subject in passive voice. Here, the word cricket takes the form of the subject in the passive voice. And the next change will occur in the verb. Here the verb is V1, therefore it will be changed into each played, and the subject I will take the place of object in passive voice, and the subject is I, then it will changes into me, which is being introduced by the word by here. So the change occurs like this: cricket is played by me. Here cricket is the receiver of the action and each player is in passive form. Therefore, this sentence in passive voice. Let us go through the second example here. They do not like cricket. And here they, the subject, do like is the verb group here, which is in V1 form, and cricket is the object. So the first change that occurs in the active voice sentence when you are changing into passive voice is the object changes. And here the word cricket is in singular form. So we know very well that the singular subject always needs a singular verb. Similarly, plural subject also always needs a plural verb. And let us see, do like. Here do will be changes into each and not e will be added here, and like will changes into the V3 form of the verb liked. So it changes into each liked. Similarly, here they, the subject, it is in subjective case. As you have already discussed, the subjective case will take the form of the objective case in passive voice. Therefore, here the word they will changes into them here, and we introduced a by agent here. So the change of the sentence will be like this: cricket is not liked by them. Similarly, Saroj feeds pigeons. Here Saroj is the subject, feeds is the V1 form of the verb, and pigeons is the object here, which is in plural form. So the object will take the place of subject in passive voice. So the first change that occurs is the pigeons. So the pigeons become subject in passive voice. And the V1 form of the verb will changes into each or am or are plus V3. As here the subject pigeons is in plural form, so it needs a plural verb. Therefore, we use are here, and the main verb become V3, fed here. So are fed. So pigeons are fed, and Saroj is the subject. It will take the place of the object in passive voice. So we will bring the word Saroj to the object place in passive voice, being introduced by the word by here. So the sentence Saroj feeds pigeon will change into pigeons are fed by Saroj. Similarly, she does not like sweet. This sentence is a negative sentence in present indefinite. Here she is the subject, does like is the verb group which is in V1 form, and sweet is the object. Sweet is in singular form. So the object sweet will take the place of subject in passive voice, and the verb changes. Does like, so does in the V1 form, like is also in the V1 form. Here does is the helping verb, so it will changes into is liked, and at last the subject changes into the object in passive voice. So here she becomes her in passive voice. Someone often invites me to the sentence. In this sentence, someone is the subject, and often is the adverb here used for the word invites verb. Therefore, here invites is in V1 form, and me is the object. To the meeting is the remaining part of the sentence. Always remember, when we are going to change an active voice sentence into passive voice sentence, the first thing we have to know that we have to identify the subject, verb and the object of that particular sentence. Then our work will be easy to change that sentence into a passive voice sentence. Here me is the object in the active voice will take the place of subject in the passive voice. So me changes into I here. Here the verb is in V1 form. And what about this remaining part of the sentence? So this remaining part of the sentence will be placed after changing of the verb, and at last the subject changes in the sentence when you are changing a sentence in active voice to a passive voice. Here someone is the subject. If the subject of the active voice is a value or an unknown, then it is not required in the passive voice. So we need not write by someone. So the change is someone. So the sentence someone often invites me to the meeting will change into I am often invited to the meeting. Let us discuss how the sentence in present progressive changes into passive voice. Raman is reading a book. Here Raman is the subject. Is reading is in present progressive form, and book is the object. The first thing that occurs in the active voice will be the object. So the object will take the place of subject in passive voice. So here book becomes subject. And we know very well that we have studied that if the verb group in the active voice is or am or are plus V4, means in form of the verb, then it will be changed into each or am plus being plus V3. Here book is singular, therefore it needs a singular verb. Therefore, we use each here. And the word reading will changes into being read. And at last, the subject changes. The Raman will change into by Raman. The sentence will be book is being read by Raman. She is preparing biryani. She is the subject. Is preparing is the verb group and biryani is the object. So this sentence will change like this. Biryani is being prepared. He is not questioning you now. In this sentence, he is the subject. Is not questioning is the verb group and you is the object here. Now is the adverb here. The first changes that occurs is in object. So the object will become subject in passive voice. So you remains you in passive voice. And let us see how the verb changes. Here each questioning will be changed into are being questioned. As we studied earlier that the is or am or are plus V4 form will change like this. Will change into is or am or are plus being plus V3. As the subject is you here, we must use are here. And the word questioning will change into being questioned. Here question is the V3 form of the word question. The subject will take the case of the object. So, he is not questioning you now will changes into you are not being questioned by him. Here is the techniques for us. If the verb structure is or am or are plus V1 plus ing, that means in V form, then the verb structure in passive voice changes into is or are or am plus being plus V3. Remember that V1 plus ing will be changed into being plus V3. Let us know how the active voice sentence in present perfect changes into passive voice. We have written a letter. In the sentence, we is the subject. Have written is the verb group here and a letter is the object here. The first change that occurs in the active voice is the object changes into subject in passive voice. So here a letter is the object here. It will take the place of subject in passive voice. So it becomes the subject here. And the second change that occurs is in the verb group. And you know very well that has plus V3 indicate that this sentence is in present perfect tense. We know very well that the verb group has or have plus V3 will changes into has or have plus been plus V3. So here have written will be changes into has been written. If the subject is in singular form, especially in third person singular number, we have to use has. So he has, she has, it has. So a letter is singular, then we have to use has. So the structure of the verb in the passive voice sentence will be has been written. And at last the subject changes into object. Here subject is we here, it will be changes into object to case as us here. So by us. So the sentence we have written a letter is changed as a letter has been written by us in passive voice. Similarly, someone has broken the chair. Someone is the subject, has broken in the verb group here, the chair is the object. And it will change like this, the chair has been broken. Here, the verb has broken has been changed into has been broken. And what about this object? Since the object is vague here, is an unknown object here, so we need not use the object here. So by someone is not required here. Therefore, the sentence someone has broken the chair will change into the chair has been broken. Similarly, the carpenter has made this furniture. The carpenter, which is a noun phrase, is the subject of the sentence, and has made indicate that this sentence is in present perfect. This furniture is the object here. So the sentence the carpenter has made this furniture will change like this furniture has been made. Always remember that the furniture is always singular. So the furniture always needs the singular verb. So Here has or have plus V3 structure will changes like this. Has or have plus been plus V3. Let us discuss how the past indefinite sentence in active voice changes into passive voice. Here are the examples. I played cricket. In this sentence, I is the subject, played is the V2 form of the verb, and cricket is the object. And here, the object will take the place of subject in passive voice, and the second change that occurs in the verb group. So here played, which is in V2, and this sentence in V2 will changes into was or were plus V3. Since cricket is singular, we need a singular verb. So here played changes into was played, and I, which is in the subject case, will be changes into me into objective case, being introduced by me. Always remember that if the doer of the action in active voice sentence is related to any person, we use by agent before the objective case in passive voice. Similarly, they did not like cricket. Here they is the subject, did like indicate that this sentence is in past indefinite, and cricket is the object here. So this sentence will be changed like this. Cricket was not liked by them. So as the did is in V2 form, so the V2 form will be changed into was or were. Since cricket is singular, we use singular verb was here. So cricket was, and the main verb like will be changed into V3, that is liked. So cricket was not liked by them. We know very well that the word not is always used between the helping verb and the main verb in simple present. Manoj pet pigeons will change as pigeons were fed by Manoj. Similarly, someone invited me to the school. Here the verb is in V2 form. So the verb changes as was invited, since the subject is a singular subject and it's in first person singular number. And by someone is not needed in passive voice, since it is a vague and it's an unknown. Therefore, someone invited me to the school will change as I was invited to the school. Let us discuss how the active voice sentence in past progressive tense changes into passive voice. The farmers were sowing seeds. Here the farmers is the subject. Were sowing is the verb group, which clearly indicates that this tense is in past progressive, and seeds is the object here. As per rule, the object in the active voice will become subject in passive voice. So here seeds become subject. And remember that the subject is in plural form. As per rule, the plural subject always demands a plural verb. And the next change that occurs is in the verb group. If the verb group is in the form of was or were plus V4, then it will change into was or were plus being plus V3. So the verb group were sowing changed into were being sown. As the subject is plural, we use were here. And at the end, the subject changes. So the subject in the active voice will take the place of object in the passive voice. Here the farmers is the object being introduced by the agent by here. So the sentence in the passive voice will be seeds were being sown by the farmers. Let us go to the second example. She was preparing biryani for us. In the sentence, she is the subject, was preparing, which means was plus V4, was preparing is the verb group, and biryani is the object, and for us is the remaining part of the sentence. So the first changes occurs in the object. The object will take the place of subject in passive voice. Therefore, biryani becomes subject in the passive voice sentence. And the second changes occurs in the verb group. As per rule, if the verb group is was or were plus V4, it will changes into was or were plus being plus V3. So as the subject biryani is singular here, the verb group will changes into was being prepared, because the singular subject demands this singular verb. Let's go to the third example. He was not questioning you. The construction of this sentence clearly indicates that this is a negative sentence and the tense of this sentence is past progressive. Here he is the subject and the verb part is was questioning, you is the object. So you will become subject in passive voice. As you always needs are or were. So instead of was, we have to write were here. Then the word questioning will become being questioned. So the verb was not questioning changed into were not being questioned. After that, the subject changes into the object. So here he is the subjective case, it will change into the objective case him, being followed by here. Let us know how the sentence in past perfect tense in active voice changes into passive voice. He had thrown the ball. Here he the subject, had thrown is the verb group, the ball is the object. And this sentence will change as the ball had been thrown by him in passive voice. Here the ball, which is the object of the active voice sentence, will changes into the subject in the passive voice sentence. So here the ball become the subject and the verb group had thrown changes into had been thrown, and the subject he will take the case of object in passive voice sentence. So he became by him here. You had not ironed your clothes. In the sentence, you is the subject, had not ironed is the verb group, your clothes is the noun phrase which is the object of the sentence. And this sentence will change as your clothes had not been ironed by you. Your clothes, which is the object in the active voice sentence, took the place of subject in the passive voice sentence, and had not ironed changed into had not been ironed. So you changes into by you. Similarly, the mason had built this building. This will change as this building had been built by the mason. Same rule is applicable for this sentence also. Let us see how the verb group in active voice sentence in past perfect tense changes into passive voice. So the had plus V3 form in active voice sentence will changes into had plus been plus V3. Let us know how the active voice sentence in future indefinite changes into passive voice. I shall do this work. This sentence is in active voice. Here I is the subject, shall do is the verb group which has two verbs, shall and do. Shall is the helping verb, do is the main verb here. And this work is the object. So when you are changing the sentence into passive voice, the changes will be like this. This work will be done by me. Here the object becomes subject in passive voice and shall do is changed into will be done. As the subject in the passive voice is third person singular number, if the subject is he or she or it, then we use will in future indefinite tense. Therefore, here shall do become will be done, and the subject I changes into me here. Similarly, she will not do this project, will changes into these projects will not be done by here. You must remember that the shall or will in the active voice sentence will changes into will in the passive voice only. The verb group shall or will plus V1 in active voice will changes into will plus B plus V3 in passive voice. Similarly, if the verb structure is shall or will plus not plus V1, then it will changes into will plus not plus V plus V3. This is how the sentence in future perfect tense in active voice changes into passive voice. We shall have caught the train. This sentence is in future perfect tense. Here we is the subject, shall have caught is the verb group here, and the train is the object here. And in the verb group we find three verbs, shall, have, got. Here caught is the main verb, shall, have are the two auxiliary verbs. And if you want to change the sentence into passive voice, the change will occur as the train will have been caught by us. The object in the active voice becomes subject here, and shall have caught is changed into will have been caught here, and the subject we in the active voice changed into us being introduced by the agent being introduced by here. Similarly, someone will have taken the test. Here someone is the subject and the subject is vague here. Similarly, will have taken is the verb group here, and this verb group also contains three verbs. As there is will, then this sentence indicates that this is in perfect tense. The is the and the text is the object here. So the object becomes subject in passive voice, and will have taken is changed into will have been taken, and the subject in the active voice sentence is not used in the passive voice sentence as object. Why? Because the subject in the active voice sentence is vague one. So if the subject in the sentence is vague one, then we need not use the subject, then we need not use the object in the passive voice sentence. Similarly, you will have tasted the food. This sentence changed into the food will have tasted by you. The same rule is applicable for this sentence also. The verb group will or shall plus have plus V3, will plus have plus will plus V3 in passive voice. Remember that whether it is will or shall in the active voice, it will change into will only. We need not use shall in passive voice sentence.